Welcome to the Western New York Athletics High School Football Weekly Show with Frank Wolf and Dick Gallagher, brought to you by Scroy Financial in West Seneca, Danny's Restaurant with 2 locations, 3715 Genesee Street in Cheektowaga and in Orchard Park on Abbott Road near the stadium, and G&G Fitness at 7350 Transit Road near Main Street in Amherst. Check them out on the web at livefit.com.
Welcome back to High School Football Weekly. I am Frank Wolf of WNY Athletics, and I'm joined once again by the lovely and talented Dick Gallagher from WGRZ High School Sports. And today, well, you may have guessed, we're not in our WNY Athletics studios. Nope, today we're at G&G Fitness, 7350 Transit Road in Amherst, New York, real close to Main Street. And this is a place owned by the Gronks. Gordy Gronkowski with his 5 sons have built this brand into one of the leading companies and distributors of physical fitness equipment, the weights around here, just all the cool machines they have. Visit livefit.com. This is where we're going to film today, a proud sponsor of not just WNY Athletics, but high school sports, collegiate athletics in general. If you need weights, if you need a treadmill, elliptical, this is where you go. I know a guy who even bought a pool table here.
This facility is a palace, just this in itself, with everything else that they have going for them. And that family not only has a wonderful legacy, they've been very, very creative, and they continue to do that now and enhance collegiate sports as well as high school sports and professional.
And one of the cool things that they've got going on that we're starting to really talk about is this new thing called Stadium Blitz, which you may or may not have heard of. But if you're into 5K races or running obstacle courses, they put the 2 of them together, and they're going to do that at some of the cooler, most prestigious stadiums around the country. In fact, October 12th, they're going to do one right here in Buffalo, out at Orchard Park at New Era Field. So if you go to stadiumblitz.com, you can register, and I think it's just $25. You get out there, you're on the field where, Josh Allen is throwing the ball to whoever, and, you could partake in this cool 5K obstacle race. I might even do it. I'm going to challenge Francis Beck to a contest, see if we both go through it at the same time and if we don't kill each other doing it.
40 years ago, I would have done it.
All right. So, but seriously, Francis, I'm putting a challenge out to you. It's October 12th. It's at New Era Field, and it's a 5K obstacle course challenge. Now, if you can't make it to Orchard Park, don't worry. They're probably coming to a town near you. In fact, they're going to be in Tampa, where the Buccaneers play, and I know they've got a bunch of college or university sites planned already. I'm here in Penn State, so this is something you really want to get involved with, especially if you enjoy putting yourself to the physical fitness test that you've been waiting for. This might be the one for you. But stadiumblitz.com, and the G&G Fitness is right behind it every step of the way. I talked to Dan Gronkowski a little bit about that. He's extremely excited about this new venture, so check it out. Stadiumblitz.com. Dick Gallagher and myself will be back in just a moment to highlight Week 2.
Why do you exercise? To look better? To feel better? To drop a few pounds? To train for an event? To defy age? Or to keep your ability to say yes to the things you love to do? Whatever motivates you, G&G Fitness Equipment is here to get you there. Treadmills, ellipticals, rowers, bikes, home gyms, and accessories. We'll pair you with the right equipment, teach you how to use it, and be there every step of your fitness journey. G&G Fitness. Your goal is our goal.
Week 2 offered some more surprises and answered some questions, but there's still so much more to be had out there. A lot more games. There's teams that you're scratching your head about saying, how are you 0-2 or how are you 2-0? Things of that nature. But we're learning who some of these kids are that we didn't know 2 weeks ago. We're starting to see that, this kid, that program in particular, has some potential because of kids like Callum Wither at St. Joe's, who had a fantastic game last Saturday against Bennett. The quarterback at Iroquois, Trey Kleitz, I believe his name is. I didn't know who that kid was coming into the season, and now I'm starting to see film on him and say that kid can make the throws. Jack Sharp, he's having an Aaron Chase type year already. I think he's close to 1,000 yards in passing in just 2 games already. And 1,000's a high number. It's somewhere in the 800s. But either way, what he's done the first 2 weeks has given him one thing that he might not have had a lot of last year, and that's confidence. I think that's one thing that kept Jack Sharp away from really showing that he is one of the premier quarterbacks in the area, and that's confidence. And I think after these last 2 weeks, it's done wonders for him, and I think you're going to see that on the field.
I think Michael Hepburn from South Park, look at it, 2 games, 6 touchdowns, 607 yards. And I think when you look at Sweet Home, didn't win a game last year. Now they lost by 1 point to West Seneca East. Those 2 teams could potentially be in the championship game at the Ralph. They're very, very talented, well coached. And then if you look at St. Joe's, totally dominating Bennett, and St. Joe's looked better last Saturday than they've done in the last few years.
Absolutely,
they have some talent, and it'll be interesting to see how they do against their rival this weekend.
I would agree. I know last year Bennett and St. Joe's plays, and it was the score wasn't the same, but it was St. Joe's
Dominated.
They dominated Bennett last year too, but not like this. This was a beating.
Yep.
Now I know Bennett, one of their star players, missed the first quarter for one reason or another, so they didn't necessarily have all their horses to start the game. But still, St. Joe's 21-0 after one quarter. That's a statement that they're ready. They're getting ready for this week 3 matchup with Canisius, but they're in rare form. I haven't seen a lot of Micah Brown just yet. We'll get into that in a little bit. But if he hasn't been a central figure of that offense in the first 2 weeks, that's how good St. Joe's is. If you don't need to rely on Micah Brown, then I would be worried for the rest of the season because he is a heck of a talent.
I think when you look at it, he didn't want to be quarterback, but he was the best quarterback for the Marauders. Now when you look at Callum and then what he was able to do, and I watched him, and he was on fire, and the wide receiver core led by Sam Klein, just outstanding array of wide receivers. It'll be good. The one thing that would be is unfortunately some of the schools have a history of some kids not practicing or showing up for practice. Why would you take a game like St. Joe's, the only time you're playing a Monsignor Martin team, and then suspend 4 or 5 kids when it's not the first time, won't be the last time? That doesn't make any sense. Then when you look at the 2 kids from Bennett that got into a fight toward the end of the game, which had caused, ending the game quicker, then my question then is Bennett going to suspend those 2 kids for what they did in fighting with each other? And it just doesn't speak well of the Tigers, and sometimes you look at it, Harvard Cup ball, the old Harvard Cup ball.
It wasn't a good week for the Buffalo Public Schools in terms of shenanigans, if you will, like what you mentioned with Bennett. But, how about Friday night when Kenmore West and McKinley has to get postponed, and that still hasn't been resolved. And now you got the Buffalo Public Schools Athletic Department taking shots at Kenton. Brett Banker is one of the most well-respected athletic directors in the state. Forget about just Kenmore and Section 6. He is by far one of the most well-respected athletic directors in the state. If you think Brett Banker is going to put his reputation on the line and force a game to get canceled without having serious issues affecting what could happen that night, then you're mistaken. In the Buffalo Public Schools, the way they're in the paper today and the last couple of days taking shots at Kenton, I'm going to say this, Dick, and I might get in trouble, but Section 6 does not need the Buffalo Public Schools as bad as the Buffalo Public Schools need Section 6. And the people that run the athletic department there should know that. I don't think Section 6 needs BPS as bad as BPS needs Section 6. So, where's Aubrey Lloyd? He doesn't return any calls. We can't talk to him. He's not in the picture right now, or he is in the picture. Ryan Shepard's probably a real good guy, but they're saying he doesn't have the authority to accept cancellation or postpone it. Well, why would Kenmore pull away? It takes 2 teams to have a game canceled or postponed. It takes 2 parties. And Ken Stolt, the chairman, was well aware of what the situation was, what was happening there. I just don't understand. All these back and forth right now is not doing any of those kids any good. It's not putting anybody in a good light. You could have played the game Monday, or you could have played it Tuesday. Now it's not going to be played possibly at all, and maybe one of those teams gets a forfeit. And you made an interesting point before we went live. Zach Boyes needs that game. He's trying to show that he can be a college quarterback. He needs that film, and what better way than to play a top competitor like McKinley? They're a good team. There's a lot of players on McKinley that may not get that game to show what they can do against a top competitor like Kenmore West, and it's just an ugly situation for everyone involved. And I think the Buffalo Public Schools needs to take a breath and just say, hey, we should have worked with Kenton as opposed to pointing our finger and saying, well, it was all one-sided. Brett Banker is one of the most well-respected athletic directors in the entire state. Who do you think the public believes is going to side with? They're going to side with Brett Banker all day long, and so will I.
I think Brett has been chairman or president of Section 6 on 3 different occasions, which just shows his longevity and his credibility and respect. And if you look at, to me, it is what it is. I don't think that game's going to be played because it's he said, she said, and who's being hurt? The kids, the parents. And it shouldn't have happened the way that it happened. And when you don't have people communicating with each other or understanding that it's about the kids, not about them, these things happen.
You hit the nail on the head. We'll quickly run through the divisions right now and some of the top teams up in AA right now. Lancaster, Orchard Park, and Jamestown looking at 2-0. Those 3 teams. The other ones are 1-1 or 0-2. I believe Bennett and Jamestown play this weekend, this Friday. I believe that's a Spectrum game, so that's definitely one to keep your eye on. I have to imagine Lancaster and Clarence square off too, so that's another game that we're going to have to keep close tabs on because Clarence, they're much improved. They had a big win this past week, and Lancaster's, they're sitting at 2-0, but 84-14 point differential there for Lancaster. Orchard Park, though, has scored 98 points this season.
Well, I think that if you're looking at it, 49 points a game, I think Orchard Park is 45 points a game, and they play October 11th, I believe, at Orchard Park, and so that's going to be a tough game for them. But the bottom line is, to me, you have 4 or 5 teams in the AA. You have Lancaster, you have Bennett, you have Orchard Park, you have Clarence, and you have, I'm blocking on one. Jamestown. And the interesting thing is Jamestown and Lancaster don't play because there's 9 teams in the league. You can only play, X amount of games.
They might play.
So they could wind up, in the playoffs. But to me, Lancaster, OP, Jamestown, and Bennett are Clarence going to be the 4 teams in the semis.
Well, we've said this a number of times dating back to last year. The only team that's going to beat Bennett is Bennett, and they continually do that to themselves.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how Bennett and the Tigers respond against Jamestown, particularly when you look at DJ Perry, who is just a monster and a very physical player, and he plays smash mouth football as a running back, which you don't see too often. Be interesting to see. He only got 7 carries for 93 yards last game. It was like you're playing one of the better teams in the area. Why are you limiting him to 7 teams? Doesn't make any sense.
Should have had 20 carries. Should have had 20
carries.
In the A's, A1, obviously Kenmore West and McKinley have some things they got to work out. But Niagara Wheatfield at 1-1 and Hamburg 2 at 1-1. They had a pretty tough go this last weekend with West Seneca West, but Hamburg's still a team that might be one of those organizations that's starting to really pull together a nice program that Coach Jeff Tripp has going on out there. They get Williamsville North this week in a divisional matchup. Still not sure what to make of West Seneca West. And then North Tonawanda beating Will East last week. I don't understand what's going on with Will East right now. I'm scratching my head over that one. I had them at 2-0 heading into week 3, and here they are sitting at 0-2, and they've got the Galarza. Is it Galarza? Xavier,
right.
Yeah, one of the top talents in the league. They've only put up 20 points. They've given up 50. So
I think when you look, at least my prediction, Williamsville North, West Seneca West, McKinley, and Ken West are the 4 teams.
I said Galarza at East. That's not who I meant. I'm sorry. Galarza's not at East. My bad. I'll get some hate mail for that real quick. But we'll get to Will South, who is 0-2 as well. But over in A2, South Park is just they have so much talent. and you mentioned Hepburn earlier when we opened up. Does South Park have any weaknesses? It's tough to find them. I mean, they've scored 92, given up 14. They're 2-0, looking really good so far. They go to Kenmore East.
Their defense is smash mouth football. They're very quick, athletic, and Marquand Fluid. He's got six sacks in 2 games. And then if you take a look at the wide receiver, and noon Friday night when they played, you had that wind and that gust. And he was still able, particularly in the second half, to complete some long bombs. And that's similar to the year that they won the state championship with Tyree.
Now, Star Point and West Seneca East are also off to really good starts, similar to last season. Star Point's doing it without Aaron Chase and all those wide receivers. They still got Joe Carlson, though. They have a young quarterback. But how about West Seneca East? You know, kind of like we had talked about Pioneer losing Rickerman. How good was Pioneer going to be? Well, they're undefeated down there in B. Here's West Seneca East. They lose Sean Dolak, arguably the best player in the state last year in all of B, or excuse me, in all of Class A. Here they are at 2-0. West Seneca East
Mathis was a key player for the Trojans to be able to get to the to get to the championship game. When you take a look at not just the yardage that he's gained, the touchdowns that he scored, defensively he plays well. He's a package that Jim Marino can count on as long as he stays healthy every game. And if you look at it, Sweet Home just lost to West Seneca East by a point. If you take a look at Jamal Lucas, his stats are off the chart in 2 games. Here's someone who was an unknown going into the season. Everyone knows now. If you mention Jamal, you know who it is.
I didn't know who Hepburn was at South Park until this season. I had no idea. Heard of him, but didn't know he was this good. So Tim Delaney he's hiding things on us.
Hey, the toughest thing to get out of coaches is money and information, and not necessarily in that order.
Well, with that note, why don't we take a quick little break? We'll be back. We'll talk a bit about those Class B and C and D teams and get back into the Monsignor Martin after a few words from our sponsors.
Why do you exercise? To look better? To feel better? To drop a few pounds? To train for an event? To defy age? Or to keep your ability to say yes to the things you love to do? Whatever motivates you, G&G Fitness Equipment is here to get you there. Treadmills, ellipticals, rowers, bikes, home gyms, and accessories. We'll pair you with the right equipment, teach you how to use it, and be there every step of your fitness journey. G&G Fitness. Your goal is our goal.
This past week, Tom Prince of WNY Athletics had the opportunity to sit down with Orchard Park quarterback Jack Sharp. Here's a look at that interview.
I'm Tom Prince with Western New York Athletics, and I'm here with Jack Sharp, quarterback of Orchard Park. Boy, Jack, you're off to a great start. And we're going to sit here and talk a little bit, ask you a few questions to talk about that great start and what the future looks for Jack Sharp and the Quakers here in Orchard Park. So first question. 5 years ago, did you see yourself as a starting quarterback in Orchard Park?
Yeah, I'd say in about like 7th grade, I was starting to have conversations with Coach Sen about, Dylan was up on varsity at the time, and after he was done, I'd probably be the next in line, so I was just working hard for that moment. So yeah, 5 years ago, I was thinking about that.
So, I mean, if you think about it, Dylan Janka, wow, state records, like the thing is. Yeah. How close are you to any of that, do you know?
I'm guessing pretty close, but really not focused about that. Really focused about this year and winning this year.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So what kind of sacrifices do you have to make in order to reach this level that you're at now?
Probably, honestly, missing some holidays with my family, not hanging out as much with my friends, and I've been blessed to work with some good quarterback coaches around the country, and that's obviously taking time from family time and hanging out with friends, so yeah.
Would you do anything different?
No, I still had some good family time, but no, to be where I'm at right now, to put some hard work in.
Awesome. So what would you say to a young kid who looks at you and has similar dreams about one day being a star quarterback? What advice do you give?
Like you said before, you have to make some sacrifices. You got to put the work in. Always, my quarterback coach right now, Coach Kubiak, says always break down some goals and always chase them. And for football-wise, always think you're a lineman.
There you go. I like that one. It's funny. It's something that I always remember as a kid to say is the difference between everyone and a leader is everybody sets goals, but a leader achieves his or her goals.
Right.
So it makes a lot of sense right there.
Right.
So absolutely. So obviously the Quakers are off to a fast start. You've put some eye-popping numbers up. Would it be fair to say that OP's playing at their full potential right now, or do you think there's more in the tank?
I think there's definitely more in the tank. We worked really hard over the offseason, so a good start was good, but we still got tougher teams to play, and I think we still haven't hit our full stride yet. We have a couple guys that are injured right now, and once we get back, I think we'll be moving.
53 for 62 to start off the season. Those are some eye-popping numbers. That is a way to lead your team right now. Couldn't be more excited about seeing those numbers, I bet.
Yeah, but honestly, I think I've only gotten hit twice so far this year, so I think a lot of the credit goes to the O-lineman, and Coach Dana comes in each week with a good strategy, good set of plays, and receivers are doing a really good job this year getting open, so it's just kind of been easy for me this year.
Fantastic. So obviously the expectations you put on yourself and those that you put on the team are a Section 6 Class AA championship. Does the last 2 weeks give you guys the confidence to be able to achieve those goals?
Yeah, it feels good that we already started off hot. We're 2-0, but we know that there's a lot of games left. Some kids can get hurt on our team, but we know as we stay together as a team, we can achieve those goals and win the second championship.
So and you got the stretch coming up.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
It's Niagara Wheatfield,
yeah.
and then you go into Bennett Lancaster,
Right.
am I correct?
Right,
So you'll know very shortly to see exactly what you stand.
exactly.
All right. You had a chance to win the Connolly Cup or a state title. What would you choose?
State championship all day. I mean, that's not even a question.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, playing in that carrier
Yeah,
is
something.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
How often do you think about the Connolly Cup or individual awards?
Not that much, really just focus on our team and winning, but I mean, it's nice to see after the game that it's there, but honestly, just really not focused on it, really focus on winning.
Nice. So the last question. What drives Jack Sharp?
Winning the section championship, and then hopefully going on and win the state championship. That's number one, and then number two is probably hopefully playing in college someday.
Fantastic. Hey, so this is a quick look into Jack Sharp, quarterback of the Quakers. Huge start you're off to, 2-0. Let's see what happens for the rest of the season at a AA conference, but a great start so far by Jack Sharp.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome back to High School Football Weekly. I am Frank Wolf from WNY Athletics. I'm joined by Dick Gallagher of WGRZ High School Sports. Continuing on with some of those teams that have surprised us and some of those that are leaving a scratch in our heads, Dick. Let's carry on with the Class B. We'll start right in B1. Right now, East Aurora. I know Tom Prince was talking pretty big about that defense before the year. Well, 2 games. They've only scored 14 points, but guess how many points they've given up?
6,
0.
0.
According to this stat sheet anyways. But I don't think they've let up a point just yet, but I believe they've got Cheektowaga coming in, if not this week, next week. So they're going to face a pretty high-powered offense, but give your hat off to the coaching staff at East Aurora and those kids. They've earned a 2-0 record at this point.
Shane McSwan is an outstanding senior linebacker, running back, and he's one of the catalysts for this nice transition for the Blue Devils.
Well, this B1 might be the premier division in B yet again. You've got Cheektowaga, who's 1-1, who lost that first game to Western New York Maritime, but they rebounded. They got Aaron Smith back at quarterback, the kid who came over from Bennett, and he had a pretty nice game to get Cheektowaga at the 500 record. Pioneer, it's 2-0. And they're doing it with Trey Hill and Tyler. I had his name a second ago. I'll get Tyler Eli and Trey Hill having exceptional years already, leading the Pioneer into that 2-0 record. They're a very dangerous team right now.
And Logan Ellis is only a sophomore linebacker. Last week he recorded 12 tackles, had an outstanding game. And Jim Dupre teaches and makes sure that his players are ready for smash mouth football. It's always been a Panther legacy, and this year he's got an outstanding team. And you lose the player of the year, and then all of a sudden you're 2-0. And the interesting thing on Class B is you have 20 teams, 5 leagues. You're only going to have 2 teams per league making the playoffs. You're going to have 2 or 3 teams that are basically going to get shut out of the playoffs that in the years past would have been probably in the playoffs.
Absolutely. And you can't really forget about Newport or Lakeshore. Lakeshore got out to that huge victory in week 1, scoring over 60 points, but then they lose last week. They don't even score a point. So we're not sure what to make of Lakeshore just yet. A lot of games left to go. And then Newport, with the big running back, they're 1-1. lost a tough one last week to, I believe, Cheektowaga. So we'll have to see what goes on there. But that was a close game. That wasn't like Cheektowaga ran all over them like last year. That was a much closer game.
Yeah.
And going into B2, Maryville's flying. Those Flyers are 2-0 with a big win over Burgard. They made that one look easy. Connor Desiderio all over the field, making plays with his feet, throwing, and, of course, making some nice tackles as well. So he's starting to get
If you look, 3 teams, Maryville, Iroquois, and Western New York Maritime Health Sciences, all 2-0. One of those teams is going to be shut out of the playoffs, so every game's important.
B2 is off to a pretty good start. Dunkirk, they've got 1 win so far, and the Medina's still looking for their first win. Down in B3, Albion's at 2-0, along with Lackawanna and Depew. Again, Depew starting to surprise some people. I know offensively people said they didn't have the weapons, but this running back they've got, Christian Pagano, is looking pretty good. The quarterback's pretty fundamentally sound, and they've won 2 games, and that's going to give them a lot of confidence to go on for the rest of the year. I think they got a big one with Albion this week, so one of those 2 unbeaten teams, can't say that next week.
Excuse me, is I think over 100 yards a game in the first 2 games. If you look at Albion, they've got the player with the best name, Brilliance, but they've been really a force the last few years, and Adam Creding does an excellent job. And Lackawanna, Adam Tardoff, he played at Lackawanna. He's coached at Lackawanna for a number of years. He always those kids ready. But you have those 3 teams that are 2-0, and you're going to lose one of them in the playoffs. Yeah. And then you go to B4, and B4 is the weakest. I think they won 1 game, out of the 10 they played. Tonawanda I thought was going to be a lot better, but they lost 2 tough ones, one by 1 point and one by 2 points. Yeah. Newfane is the other one that I think that could potentially, get in the playoffs. Burgard, 0-2. I thought they'd be a lot stronger than they are.
It probably is weaker of the 4 divisions if you put pen to paper, but I know that Tonawanda is a lot better than that 0-2 record. I think Eden's better than that 0-2 record, and then Newfane, they've got that Jaden Heers, so he's capable of winning games all by himself. He's a tough runner. And then Burgard, Jason Cobb gets as much as he can, but sometimes I don't know if those guys are giving it everything they've got. I was not impressed with them on Saturday against Maryville. I think Burgard's a lot better than the way they've been playing as of late, and I'd like to see the Bulldog Burgards play a little harder. Did I say the Bulldog Burgards? I think I said the Bulldog Burgards. The Burgard Bulldogs are a lot tougher than that 0-2 record, and I hope those kids start buying into that program because they got some football players.
You got to remember, there's a lot of teams with Bulldogs names, so we're trying to think about them.
Yes, yeah, well, that's all right. Over in C North, Akron and Wilson looking pretty good. They're both undefeated. Cleve Hill 1-1. They've got the 1 loss against Maryville, but Thursday night, Akron and Cleve Hill are going to lock horns. That's the game of the night, really. If you think about it, WNY Athletics will be there with an audio broadcast on our Mixler station. You'll be able to hear that game, every play, in a pregame show. Mark Johnson and John Simon on the call there, and then I'll be out there on the sidelines causing trouble. But I'm looking forward to that Cleve Hill Akron game. I saw Coach Glenn Graham at the doing some scouting at the Akron game, and had a nice little chat with him. Always love seeing Coach Graham. His entire coaching staff was there. That's a close-knit group, and that's probably why they're very successful, because those guys talk to each other and they're always together. I like seeing that.
The coaching staff at Cleveland Hill, I think, has set a record for longevity, and they're just amazing. And Dennis Mason, who used to be the head coach at Cleveland Hill, he still calls the offense. I have no idea what his age is, but he's up there, and he never misses a beat. And then you get Chad Curris, the son of the renowned Kyle Curris, that was athletic director and football coach. They've got outstanding coaching, and you look at what they accomplish every year, the players listen to them.
Yeah. So, and then down in C South, you're looking at Southwestern just dominating in their first 2 games. I think they've outscored opponents 82-8. So Southwestern is really rolling right now, and you got to be impressed with, is it Conrad?
Conrad Thomas.
Yeah.
And Tyrone Wright, the 2 kids that transferred from Dunkirk. And he's got, I think, 20 tackles in 2 games, Conrad. He apparently took a handoff that was designated for the opponent's running back, took it and went the other way for about 60 yards for a touchdown in week 1. Taiwan is just an outstanding athlete. If he was hurt last year, you had those two to an outstanding line. That
Southwestern was already good before they got there.
Right. They were my favorite before the transfers.
Yeah, I would
now,
agree.
To me, it could be Cleveland Hill again and Southwestern at the championship game. But if that was being played today, I'd have to give the edge to the Trojans.
I'd like to see Wilson, too, have something to say. I mean, I would love to see another Wilson-Southwestern game at some point.
Wilson, 2 years in a row, they missed it in the last second in the last play.
Don't get me wrong. I think Southwestern is a better, more complete team than Wilson. I think they just have too many athletes as opposed to Wilson. But, you know, I would like to have Wilson get another shot at them. I know that Drew Westportland's having a good year. I'm missing a couple of the other guys. Declan Ferries, another good
Atlas
player.
is the quarterback. He backed up the All-Star quarterback from last year, and who just set records. And they actually were leading Cleveland Hill at halftime in that game, and then Cleveland Hill came back. And those games will be competitive, but when you look at the talent on both, the difference to me in Southwestern is their line is exceptional.
Yeah.
And whether it's Cooper, Panis, or any other lineman, they get the tackles, they get the sacks.
I could be wrong, and you know I am every now and again. I think Akron is much more improved than they have been, and I think Akron is this year's Wilson, if that makes any sense. I think Akron just has they have a huge program now. There's a lot of players on that Akron Tigers team, and I like the job that Aaron Klaus is doing right now, putting together a nice program there, and of course Ken Stoltz on the staff, so that speaks volumes. But I think Akron will have to see how far they've come though with this big game Thursday, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next segment. Then down in D, Franklinville-Ellicottville is cruising at 2-0, but so is CSP in that offense. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to stop them, but they play this week, Franklinville and CSP, and this is the one team that we've been talking about that might have the chance to really finally beat CSP. I think they've won 12 straight games now. They've won 12 straight. When are they going to lose? I've said this before. A loss for CSP might be the best thing that happened to them because they forgot how to lose.
Logan Frank is an outstanding two-way player for the Titans. And they also have a new, head coach, Jason Marsh.
Yes, first-year head coach.
And to me, whoever wins that game this weekend is going to be the league champion. And then they're going to have the first seed in the playoffs. Those two teams should be in the Class D championship in November. I don't see any of the other four teams being able to.
I would agree with you. Randolph, we know is young, but they surprised us in week 1. So who knows? But I like CSP, that offense. How are you going to slow down Cam Barmore?
Randolph's got a very young team. Randolph's got a very young team.
Is there more? I mean, Garrett Hinsdale, what a leader. I mean, he's just on and off, just a professional. He is just a real young, good kid. A senior now. He's got the championship ring from last year, and he is hungry for a second one. I'm not betting against that kid, but we'll have to see what Franklinville, what they have in store for CSP. But they're just incredible on offense.
The game's at the Titans, so that gives them an edge. And then if you look at Garrett Hinsdale and Cameron Barmore, just with two of the outstanding, and they've got, I think, 40 kids on the team, which is a good number of kids in Class D. So,
yeah, and I wanted to send a shout out to Chris Payne. His mother-in-law had to leave that game. They took her up to Buffalo to have some tests done. So my thoughts are with the Payne family. Hopefully everything's improving there. But big shout out to Chris Payne. We're thinking about you and your family. All right, Dick. Why don't we take? Well, we could probably do this quickly. Monsignor Martin. There's only 6 teams. I'm not seeing anything in the bottom 3. it's the numbers are killing those 3 schools down there. There's some talent there. Don't get me wrong. There's talent. Every team's got a couple of players that can play. There's just not enough of them. So with Timon, O'Hara, and St. Mary's of Lancaster, they're not off to great starts. But those teams, I like all 3 coaches. We know Joe Licata's doing a good job with getting those numbers back up at Timon, but they still have a ways to go. And the same thing with O'Hara. The numbers are down now. They had an awesome senior class last year. They have this other kid that came in from Newport, Sam Torrey, who is awesome on the line, had a fantastic game against that team from Canada last weekend. I watched him play. He's only a junior, but keep your eyes on him because he's an exceptional lineman. But they need more help. They need more kids to come out for that team. And that was just their first game. They had a rough first quarter against that team. A lot of mistakes. In fact, there was a kickoff that they didn't think they needed to touchdown and, gave it right back to the team, and play later they were in the end zone. So a rough first quarter for O'Hara. But that was their first time out this year, and I think they'll get a little bit better as the season goes along.
If you look at Timon, Akron shuts them out. Iroquois dominated them. I think they scored 17 points in 2 games. And they have 5 linemen that have played for Joe since the freshman year. They're seniors. I thought that would be their strength, but it doesn't appear to be after 2 games. And then they also have to play 2 of the big 3, either St. Francis, St. Joe's, or Canisius. So they've got a tough road ahead of them, and Joe does the best that he can.
They're going up to Wilson this week to play another out-of-conference game, so it's cool that Timon is playing those games against Section 6 teams, even though it's not St. Francis playing Lancaster or Joe's, playing Clarence. It's still a pretty cool Section 6 public versus private school game, so that'll be a pretty good one. The brand new turf up there in Wilson, they did a phenomenal job there. In the upper Monsignor Martin in the A-League there, St. Joe's got a big win, destroyed Bennett last Saturday. Canisius, they've lost 2 games, but they played out of conference. 2 of the powerhouses in their respective states. That team from Ohio is number 9 in the state. McDowell, look what they did to St. Joe's the week before. Canisius goes down there, and it's a tough game. So this is really their first league game between the 2 teams this year. We'll see how that goes, and we'll be talking about that one in our last segment. St. Francis had a rough one this week. They play Walsh Jesuit, but we know once they get down to league play, you're going to see the best 3 teams going in Monsignor Martin.
If you look at it, the 3 quarterbacks are all underclassmen and all outstanding, and probably 2 of the 3, or maybe all 3, will wind up playing Division I ball. So they're going to be competitive just based on their offensive spark that they provide in leadership. And if you looked at the way Callum Wither played last week against Bennett, he was like a man among boys. And then Tyler Baker for, Canisius, and then Jake Ritz, who's got over almost 600 yards and 6 touchdowns in 2 games. And he's good for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns every game. He's going to break all passing records that were held by, Joe Licata and other quarterbacks before he's finished.
Yeah. We're going to be back after a break from hear from one of our sponsors, Dick Gallagher and Frank Wolf at WNY Athletics. We'll be back in just a moment. We're going to talk about the Trench Trophy and Connolly Cup nominees in our next segment.
Why do you exercise? To look better? To feel better? To drop a few pounds? To train for an event? To defy age? Or to keep your ability to say yes to the things you love to do? Whatever motivates you, G&G Fitness Equipment is here to get you there. Treadmills, ellipticals, rowers, bikes, home gyms, and accessories. We'll pair you with the right equipment, teach you how to use it, and be there every step of your fitness journey. G&G Fitness. Your goal is our goal.
Here's a look back at some of the best plays from Week 2, courtesy of CSA Prepstar.
Welcome back to High School Football Weekly. I am Frank Wolf from WNY Athletics, and of course my tag team partner Dick Gallagher from WGRZ High School Sports. Dick, over the weekend the Trench Trophy and the Connolly Cup announced their nominees, their top performers for Week 2. And from Trench Trophy they are Joe Crimmy from Kenmore East, Ryan Coolhane from Clarence, Kevin Johnson from Starpoint, Tim Osborne from North Tonawanda, Jason Pletz from Randolph, Lucas Rader from Clymer Sherman, Panama, and Jason Walker from St. Joe's. All of those nominees are now will be eligible for the 2019 Hall of Fame banquet, and one of those guys will be a finalist awarded could be one of the winners at the end of the season at their banquet. Looking forward to attending that this year. Connolly Cup, Week 2 top performers: Cameron Barmore, CSP, Connor Desiderio from Maryvale, Marquand Fluitt from South Park, Logan Frank from Franklinville, Ellicottville, Jason Frazier from Tonawanda, Jaden Heers, Newfane, Ryan Jafarijan from Chautauqua Lake, Zaire Leonard from Williamsville North, Vincent Lameo from St. Joe's, Jason Manzel, Lancaster, Adam Meets from Akron, Jeremiah Presley from Lackawanna, Isaiah Simmons from West Seneca West, Maurice Vaughn from Western New York Maritime Charter, and Callum Wither from St. Joe's. Those are your Connolly Cup Week 2 top performers and the Trench Trophy Week 2 nominees. We'll be back in just a moment with our final segment with Dick Gallagher from WGR High School Sports, and I am Frank Wolf, WNY Athletics. We'll be back from a word from one of our sponsors.
Why do you exercise? To look better? To feel better? To drop a few pounds? To train for an event? To defy age? Or to keep your ability to say yes to the things you love to do? Whatever motivates you, G&G Fitness Equipment is here to get you there. Treadmills, ellipticals, rowers, bikes, home gyms, and accessories. We'll pair you with the right equipment, teach you how to use it, and be there every step of your fitness journey. G&G Fitness. Your goal is our goal.
Welcome back to High School Football Weekly. I'm Frank Wolf from WNY Athletics, joined by Dick Gallagher from WGRZ High School Sports. And Dick, we're just getting ready into our final segment here where we talk about the games heading into Week 3, some of the more intriguing matchups. And, of course, this week starts on Thursday with two pretty big games for all four schools, Cleveland Hill and Akron. Who is the top team in Class C North this year? It's been Cleve Hill for so long. Akron's off to a 2-0 start. They're going to take on their toughest opponent possibly of the year in Cleve Hill. Now, they are home Thursday night, so that they got that going for them. You know, Cleveland doesn't exactly have the horses they used to have. They graduated two of the better players that programs had, and Javon Thomas and Aaron Waller. Akron, their quarterback and their running back seem to be pretty gifted, and they've got the numbers this year, and you know they're a tough bunch out there. They're just tough, and they've been waiting for this game probably all year. I'm glad they didn't look past anybody, but here they are, and really one of the top games of the night. So Cleve Hill, Akron, who do you like there?
When you look at it, Cleveland Hill has one major returner from last year, Christian, linebacker, defensive back, running back. He scored 4 touchdowns. He's been double-digit tackles since his sophomore year. He's an outstanding two-way player. Then if you look at Akron, Andrew Klaus has really got those kids playing hard. They're very competitive. The way they dominated Timon, to me, was a surprise, but it was also a wake-up call for the Golden Eagles that they better be ready, and that will be smash mouth football. I think the key to that game is whoever wins the battle of the trenches is going to win that game.
I would agree. I like those linemen on Cleve Hill, though. They got some nice linemen there still hanging around. They got one in particular. His name's escaped me, but he knows who he is. I interviewed him before this season. I probably should remember that. Will East and West Seneca West, they're the other game Thursday night. Will East, they're at a crossroads here at 0-2, and they got a team that's just won a state championship 2 years ago with some members still playing good football there at West Seneca West. So that's a big game. It's at West Seneca West. They're home. Will East has to figure out real quick if they're going to be a competitor this year or if they're going to be a doormat, and I don't think Coach Turla is going to allow that to happen. So I would imagine the Flames, they're probably going through another grueling practice today, and who knows, but they should be much more prepared for this game.
I think that Mike Pistola really is into the need for a team to be together, to work together and be accountable together. First game was a surprise because they really got blown out. And when they had won 23 or 24 games in the last 2 years. And if you take a look at two players, Liam Shore, who's now the quarterback and also a defensive lineman, which is a rare commodity. And then you also have Mike Linsky, who's been an All-Western New York linebacker for 2 years in a row with the Buffalo News. And I think that their win over Hamburg got them on the right track. And I think that it's going to be a tough game for the Flames to be able to match up with them. And I just have to give the edge to West Seneca West. And if Mike can get those kids believing in him, believing in the plan, they're going to be a force. They were start point was up 28-0 in the first quarter against Williamsville South. Williamsville South came back to make it a game, but the Spartans are tough at home. They play smash mouth football, and Joe Carlson should be an All-West New York candidate at wide receiver. They had 4 wide receivers that were pretty equal last year. Some got more stats than the others, but Joe, first game, I think he had 9 catches, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns. So I think it'll just depend on how the weather is, because if you take away the passing game and start point, that's an edge for the opponent.
He's almost like this year's Alex Card, I want to say, because I believe he also returns kicks on special teams, and is a pretty good defensive player in his own right. I'm pretty sure of that. So we'll have to see. Williamsville North at Hamburg is another big game that I want to talk about. We've heard that Williamsville North might have lost a lot of talent, but they come out last week and beat a very tough Niagara Wheatfield team. And then Hamburg, they fell to West Seneca West. So that's a game I'm going to keep my eye on for sure. Tonawanda Burgard, you're talking 2 schools that need a win desperately. You know, that B4 division is wide open. Only 2 teams are going to the playoffs, so it could come down to those 2 teams, and could come down to their Week 3 matchup. Maritime Iroquois. We're going to find out how good Maritime is. Iroquois been very inconsistent last year, but they're starting to play better this year. I'm telling you, this might be my upset here of the week. If Iroquois can keep it together, and I think they're going to beat Maritime this week.
If you look at the Chiefs last couple of years, they've had really young team. They've got a lot of players. They play smash mouth football. They have a good camaraderie as far as, accountable and working together. I wouldn't be surprised if Iroquois upset West New York Maritime, but I'm not surprised that West New York Maritime Health Sciences is 2-0. They had some quality players. That was their first year. Last year, they won 2 games, lost 6. They have talent galore. They have athleticism, and they have a new coach in Tyree Parker who's connected with the kids. He's an outstanding basketball coach, has won 2 championships. So that game is a game that I'm thinking of going to.
Yeah. Another couple of big ones here before we sign off for today. I'm interested in this Cheektowaga East Aurora game to see what Cheektowaga is really made of, and is East Aurora for real? We're about to find out Friday night. LB and Depew, another game featuring 2-0 teams. Franklinville, Ellicottville, and CSP, we touched on that earlier. That's a huge game. Any way you slice it, is Franklinville, Ellicottville back? Because don't forget, I believe Bartosek had an office at New Era Field for quite a while, because he was constantly going to New Era Field with that Franklinville FE Titans team. Well, now Ty Harper's onto something big at CSP, so that's a collision course ready to happen right there. We'll have to see. But those are some of the bigger games that I'm looking forward to. Pioneer Newport, that's one I've got my eyes on, and that's pretty much about it. And there's a lot of other good games going on. I encourage you to get out there if you can. Saturday, like I said, that I'm not really sure what big games are. If there's any bigger game going on other than St. Joe's Canisius, that seems to be the biggest one. So with that, why don't we get into it? Canisius St. Joe's before we sign off today.
91st game, St. Joe's leads 47-40. And if you take a look at the last 10 games, Canisius has won all 10. And Rich Robbins and the coaching staff and the Crusaders have dominated the Marauders for several years now. But when I looked at that St. Joe's team on Saturday against Bennett, they were very physical. And even with the win, Callum Withers and the wide receivers were totally in concert, and that game will be smash mouth football. C.J. Ozelans has to be one of the top candidates for Trent's Trophy, as well as all Western New York first team. He was injured last year. He transferred from St. Mary's after 2 years. He's a player that will be playing the college football. He's one to watch. And Donovan Cornelius is another player to watch on the line.
Absolutely. At the skill positions, Joe's versus Canisius, I actually like Joe's. But this game is won in the trenches. If St. Joe's can't get pressure on that Canisius quarterback, who's a young quarterback, Canisius takes the game. If St. Joe's can get the pressure on the young QB and force him to make throws he shouldn't be making, or just throwing the ball away, 3 down and outs, 3 and outs, I think St. Joe's can win this game. I really do. All things come to an end. Canisius has dominated St. Joe's. I believe they're 10-2. Rich Robbins is 10-2. He's in his 9th year. They've won 10 straight. So all things come to an end. I think this could be the year that the Marauders finally beat Canisius. But they've always had those kind of streaks, the series in particular. Canisius won a bunch, then St. Joe's would dominate, then Canisius would dominate again. So it's had the back and forth, but I think it's time. This is the year I think St. Joe's finally
I think there's two things evident. One, every one of those kids will play smash mouth football. The parents don't like each other. The coaches they respect each other, but this is one of the better rivalries in the state, as well as in Western New York. But to me, you'll also have the best crowd of any game this year when those two teams play. And the only people that aren't interested in this game are the neighbors surrounding Canisius home field in West Seneca, because they get all upset with the fact that they've got maybe a few hundred cars that are in their way.
There could be close to 2,500 people at this game Saturday. There might be more than that. I can't wait. To be honest with you, Dick, this is going to be my first time going to a Canisius St. Joe's game. I've never been to one. I've always favored the other rivalry games, the Tonawanda, North Tonawanda, Ken West, Ken East, Orchard Park, Lancaster, things of that nature. But this is, Lancaster Depew. But I'm really looking forward to it. In fact, at 11 o'clock, WNY Athletics will be doing a live high school game day experience. We're going to do this broadcast on Facebook Live. Hopefully Dick will join us. But we'll be there. Marauder Rowdies, bring your colors, bring your signs. Blue Crew, bring your colors, your signs, wear your jerseys, your Canisius logos, your St. Joe's logos, and let's have a good time, respectful of one another. But we're going to have a good time with this high school game day experience. It's similar to what they do on ESPN with College Game Day. So come on out. We'll be there as early as 11 o'clock broadcasting almost until game time. That game will be seen on NFHS Network.
The crowd at St. Joe's, Bennett St. Joe's game was the worst crowd that I've ever seen, and lowest amount of people turning out at that game. When you look at the game this weekend, it'll be the best crowd. It has all the atmosphere that College Game Day has, and what you're doing will be a fun experience.
Well, I hope you can be a part of it. We're going to sign off for this episode of High School Football Weekly, but I am going to be joined in just a few moments by Dan Gronkowski to talk a little bit more about the Stadium Blitz and what they got going on here at G&G Fitness. So this portion of the show is over. For Dick Gallagher of WGR High School Sports, I am Frank Wolf at WNY Athletics. We'll see you right here next week.
Why do you exercise? To look better? To feel better? To drop a few pounds? To train for an event? To defy age? Or to keep your ability to say yes to the things you love to do? Whatever motivates you, G&G Fitness Equipment is here to get you there. Treadmills, ellipticals, rowers, bikes, home gyms, and accessories. We'll pair you with the right equipment, teach you how to use it, and be there every step of your fitness journey. G&G Fitness. Your goal is our goal.
Welcome back to High School Football Weekly. I am Frank Wolf, WNY Athletics, and I'm joined by Dan Gronkowski of G&G Fitness. Dan, thank you for having us in your studio today.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. Usually we're working out in this room, so.
Well, we won't be doing that today, but maybe tomorrow I'll take a rain check.
There you go.
But maybe, who knows, maybe I'll walk out of here with a treadmill today.
Yes, yeah, or we'll get you on a treadmill.
Maybe a pool table.
That too.
We'll do the pool
that
table.
too. All right.
But Dan, G&G Fitness partnered up with WNY Athletics today, and it's not just you guys want to partner up with us because we do high school sports. You guys really care about the high school athletics and collegiate athletics, especially in Western New York, because you guys have, benefited from the programs around here. So it's good to see you guys wanting to give back and get involved.
Yeah, totally. I mean, my brothers and I, we all grew up in Western New York. We credit a lot of our success to this area and the blue-collar Buffalo. And yeah, we played, we worked out. Our company sets up a lot of the high school gyms around here, and yeah, it's just good to get out and always be a part of the community, and especially high school level, and do stuff like that.
A lot of people don't know this, but you actually won a hockey state championship at Will North.
Yeah, 2002. So yeah, our Williamsville North team. That year, I elected to play hockey with all my friends and skipped out of basketball that year. But it was fun, and we were state champs, so it was a good time.
And you said earlier that you guys were maybe like a hockey family. Did all your brothers play hockey too?
Yeah, we actually we grew up all playing hockey. That was like our main winter sport. And once we got to high school, we were also playing basketball, baseball, and football. So we had to drop something. So we all dropped hockey. My brother-in-law actually is he was second-round draft pick in the NHL, Dylan Blugis, so he's out in Vancouver right now at training camp. So a lot of blood in our family. My kids are big hockey players now too, so we'll see where they go with that.
How important was it, and your dad, I gotta believe, maybe stressed this at a young age, that you guys play multiple sports?
Yeah.
So did that really help in your development?
Yeah, I think 100%. Especially in football. Football is one of those sports where you don't have to play when you're younger. You can really.
I gotta take it. I just can't. Look at the size of this guy over here.
Hey, I'm down like 30 pounds from my playing days.
his biceps the size of my head over here.
But yeah, there's you want to play a lot of sports. Some, I think, like hockey and baseball, you do have to start a little earlier. But football is a sport I think you could pick up later because there's just so many positions that if you're athletic, you'll fit in one of those positions. So if you even look at when Rob was running routes and stuff, sometimes he'd box out guys and catch the ball, and that's something you learn in basketball. So you can take other sports and really apply it to football or anything else. You should get a wide variety of sports for sure.
What was your favorite growing up?
I'd have to say baseball, and then hockey in the winter. But we were a big baseball family. I think our older brother went the baseball route. The rest of four of us went football route. But I think it just got a little boring for us after just a little more action in football and stuff.
Let's talk about the Stadium Blitz. I talked about it in our opening segment with Dick Gallagher earlier, but really, why don't you dive into that? Tell us how the idea came up and how you guys are involved.
Yeah, so my brothers and I are all done. Rob, the last one, being professional athlete, and we kind of had this opportunity with a company called Stadium Blitz approach us to do obstacle course racing, and we were like, this is a good challenge. We can stay in shape, we can compete, and have a little fun as well. So Stadium Blitz is coming. We're bringing the first one that we're involved with to Buffalo and on October 12th, so less than a month away. And all my brothers and I are going to be there competing for the first time, and it's going to be a fun event. It's basically a 5K with 15 obstacles in between that you could pick and choose which ones you want to do. So it's for every level of athlete to really come out. But it's going to be more about the atmosphere. We're all going to be there. We're all going to be competing. And it's going to be like a party out there. The music's going to be loud. And it's just going to be a good time all around.
Will you guys be mic'd up when you're going through the course?
Oh, we should. No, I got to get back in shape. So
that would be kind of cool, though. Maybe down in Tampa.
Yeah, you'd hear a lot of huffing and puffing from the running right now. But yeah.
But the cool thing is, I went on the website Stadium Blitz from the link you shared with me, and I was kind of blown away because I was under the impression maybe it was just happening here, but you guys are actually going to Tampa and then all these other college universities.
Yeah, so we wanted to bring it to Buffalo for the first one, bring it back home, and really get it started here. And we want to come back here every year, so we need a lot of people out there to make that happen. But we're going to Tampa 2 weeks after, and then the spring schedule is where it really happens. We're hitting about 10 of the biggest colleges in the country. We can't really say them right now, but they'll be in like the Ohio area and the Texas area and places like that. So this is just the first one. We're trying to create that atmosphere out there of fun, entertaining. At the same time, it's all about the healthy lifestyle and fitness.
So all right, well, with those two last points I was going to say, is jumping through a table one of the obstacles here. You're in Buffalo, and you know how the Bills Mafia is.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was one of the obstacles or not. If it is, I may have a shot, but if not, no, I'm not big on the table.
They could get really high up on some of these obstacles, let me tell you, and then, it'd be a big table slam then, yeah.
Well, you could check on how to register and where these other events are. So if you can't hit the one in New Era Field, maybe you like to travel, and you can go down to Tampa in a couple of weeks. Check out stadiumblitz.com, and I'm pretty sure it was only $25 to join.
Yep. We're just trying to get people there for this first, and we want to create that atmosphere. So.
You can't go to a 5K race without dropping $25. Now you're at New Era Field in an obstacle course, and the Gronks are there. You can meet all the Gronks. So that's pretty cool, man. I hope to be a part of that as well. But why don't we do this? Why don't you take my camera guy on a tour of G&G Fitness.
All right.
Show us the new Gronk fitness brand that you guys came up with.
Yep.
A couple of the other things you can purchase here at G&G Fitness. Either come on down or go to livefit.com. But why don't you go and do that, and we'll hear from G&G Fitness, one of our sponsors, and we'll be back in just a minute with Dan Gronkowski.
Why do you exercise? To look better? To feel better? To drop a few pounds? To train for an event? To defy age? Or to keep your ability to say yes to the things you love to do? Whatever motivates you, G&G Fitness Equipment is here to get you there. Treadmills, ellipticals, rowers, bikes, home gyms, and accessories. We'll pair you with the right equipment, teach you how to use it, and be there every step of your fitness journey. G&G Fitness. Your goal is our goal.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to G&G Fitness here on Transit Road in Amherst, New York. This is where it all started with my dad in 1990 on Transit Road here with our first store. Now we have 14 locations and also set up thousands of gyms, maybe even your high school gyms in the area, about 10 different states. So let's check out some of the cool stuff we got. All right. So in here, in the store, what you can see is a lot of our home brand, from treadmills to ellipticals to home gyms with a bunch of different brands like Life Fitness, Precor, Octane, Inspire, so brands you see all over the gyms, stuff like that. We have all the home models in our store, so carry a wide variety of products. One of the hottest products lately, the last couple of years, have actually been rowers. Got a few different model rowers with the big screens. The water rowers are real popular. These are probably our top rowers. They got the water in them, which is really nice, some good, smooth resistance, full body workouts with the rowers. So people seem to really love the rowers. As we go along, some more ellipticals from Matrix. We got some treadmills, ellipticals, bikes, Precor, Life Fitness, Matrix, and a bunch of other stuff. So just show you some home gyms over here as well. These functional home gyms are diesel these days. They come with so much in them. Basically, you can get one piece of equipment that does so many things. So not only do they have the functional arms that you can move up and down on them, what they have is you get a bar in there as well that you could slide up and down, get out of the way, so you have a bar, functional arm, you got everything on it, all your accessories to attach anywhere. I mean, you get one of these pieces now, you could basically do anything in your home, which is totally awesome. This is the one I have in my house actually, and I love it. So just the home gyms these days have come a long way. They're not as big and bulky, but you get one piece that can do so much, which is pretty cool. And then, yeah, just a bunch of unique stuff. The Zero Runner. So let me jump on this real quick. This is an octane piece you're running with no impact. So really good for runners who got to put in all those garbage miles to get ready for marathons and stuff like that. So really, just really unique, cool machines that are out there now that they can pertain to anybody. So all good stuff. Let me show you some pool tables and stuff. What we have here in the back of our store, we have all the pool tables, foosball, ping pong, stuff like that. So Brunswick actually owns Life Fitness, so we're able to team up with Brunswick to bring in their Brunswick line of pool tables, ping pong, and all that. So that's kind of why we carry all these quality pool tables and other products as well. So pretty cool stuff. Oh look, it's me over there. Check that one out, one-handed grab, baby. That's at the combine. All right, so yeah, all the weights, all the bars. What I want to show you guys is our back room, which we call the Gronk zone. It's a pretty cool room here. All right, so we've actually designed our own accessory line now. Just why not? Why not? So we have the Gronk Fitness accessory line. So we base that around functional equipment that my brothers and I used when we grew up, played sports, and trained. So a lot of equipment like plyo boxes and push sleds. We have all the bars, the weights in the Gronk Fitness brand, all high quality products. What's been nice also is we've been able to team up with brands like Water Rower and Jacob's Ladder and make special editions. So this is a water rower machine that has our Gronk Fitness logo on it as well. So that's a special edition water rower. So we've been able to do some cool projects like that as well. Over here we have all the Gronk Fitness weights. So all the weights are branded. Gronk Fitness, Virgin rubber dumbbells. And racks, and even over here, this is one of my favorite here, we have the Jacob's Ladder, which is actually from Buffalo. They're from Niagara Falls. They make these in Niagara Falls, but as you can see here, Gronk Fitness edition, baby. That's a nice one. So yeah, love to team up and do products like that with brands that are already established, which is pretty cool that we have that opportunity. So if we take it over here, this is what we call a rig, hammer strength rig, and these are becoming really popular, especially schools and gyms that want to have functional areas like we're in. It's good to put a rig in there. You can do a bunch of stuff, hang stuff, have your platforms in there, have storage, and really get a lot out of a little space. So this is a pretty cool rig setup in this room. And with our Gronk Fitness benches, our Gronk Fitness bars and kettlebells, And it's a good space. You get a lot of use out of it. This is what a lot of people are now putting in gyms. People want to see this stuff, doing their pull-ups and things like that. So all around pretty cool space here. We call these the functional zones, where you can really get a lot out of a little amount of equipment that has a lot of use to it. So that's why these are becoming more and more popular. So we love our rigs and this type of setup. So that's why this is called the Gronk Zone.
WNYathletics.com is the premier high school sports website in Western New York, providing the best sports coverage of Section 6 and Monsignor Martin leagues. Check out our page for daily game recaps and late-breaking sports news. Our online scoreboards are updated in real time. Never miss a goal or touchdown. Visit WNYathletics.com today or follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube.